Hello there, Year 3, and welcome to our new comprehension text. This is going to be one of the pixel texts for Monday. That is going to be a brand new text today. We're going to be doing set A, and as usual, I'm going to read through the text, then we're going to go through each of the questions and figure out how we can achieve full marks for each answer. So, as you can see, this is a letter that we're looking at today. So, I'm not actually going to read you both of the addresses, but just as you can see here, we've got the address for Darren Champion, that's the person who's sending the letter, and then the person receiving the letter is Miss Tina Wilkinson. So, here we go, I'm now going to read through the letter for you. Dear Miss Wilkinson, thank you for your letter of the 24th of April asking about Northumberland. I'm delighted that you would consider taking a holiday in our wonderful county. You won't be disappointed. I suspect it would be a huge change from what you're used to. Coming from Birmingham, you will, I think, be blown away by the open spaces. Northumberland has the fewest people per square mile of any county in the country. If you crave peace and quiet and room to breathe, you will have come to the right place. Then there's the sea. No doubt you live hours away from the nearest shore. Here in Northumberland, we are blessed with miles and miles of stunning coastline. There are vast sandy beaches and rugged rocky cliffs that are home to a wide range of wildlife. Yet we can also boast wild mountains, uplands offering spectacular views for the serious walker. Like your neck of the woods, Northumberland has a proud tradition of work, power and invention, but our rich history stretches way beyond the last 3 centuries. We have the Roman marvel, that is the world's famous Hadrian's Wall, the lonely charm of Holy Island, and more castles than any other country in the UK. Living in the Midlands, you might think it's the frozen north. In truth, it does tend to be a little cooler, but don't confuse colder with wetter. Northumberland has less rain compared with many other countries. Anyway, most of it falls on high ground in the west. Whatever the weather, you can be sure of a warm welcome. You'll also be pleasantly surprised by the cost of your holiday. Whether you stay in a top-class hotel or hire a charming cottage for your stay, you can expect great value. That means more money to spend on the things you want. I could go on, but I'll let you discover the joys of Northumberland yourself. Please find attached a list of places to stay, plus a tourist guide packed with useful information. We really hope to see you soon. Yours sincerely, Darren Champion. At the very bottom it says there, Northumberland Tourist Office. Right, there we go. So, as usual, we're now going to go through each of the questions and see how we can achieve full marks for each answer. So, as usual, we're going to start off with the vocabulary section. Question 1. Look at the first paragraph of the letter. Find and copy a word that means very happy. Look at the first paragraph of the letter. Find and copy a word that means very happy. So where are we going to look? That's right, the first paragraph. We're going to look at the first paragraph and we're going to find and copy a word that means very happy. So I'm going to look back through the text of the first paragraph. Thank you for your letter of the 24th of April asking about Northumberland. I am delighted you would consider taking a holiday in our wonderful county. You won't be disappointed. So which of those words means very happy? That's right, hopefully you got it. The word is delighted. Delighted is the word, so I'm just going to write down the word delighted. There we go. Question 2. If you crave peace, quiet and room to breathe, which group of words means the same as crave in this sentence? Tick 1. If you crave peace, quiet and room to breathe, which group of words means the same as crave in this sentence? Tick 1. So does it mean can't find, don't like, live with, or really want? So to crave something. Again, this is one of those words you need to know the meaning of, so hopefully you might have heard of the word crave before, but if you read it in the context of what it's saying, if you crave peace and quiet, okay, so again, you could try the substitution method and see if you can swap each of those words out with crave, see if it makes sense. So if you can't find peace, quiet and room to breathe, if you don't like peace, quiet and room to breathe, if you live with peace, quiet and room to breathe, or if you really want peace, quiet and room to breathe. I mean, most of them sort of make sense actually, so that one doesn't quite work, that strategy. So really, it's more of those ones we just need to sort of go for it and see if we can work out what it should be. So really, It should be if you really want. If you really want something, if you crave something. Usually we talk about cravings with food. So if you really want, say, I don't know, if I'm really craving some strawberries. I love strawberries. So I'm saying, oh, I'm craving some strawberries. I love some strawberries. I really want some strawberries. That's what a craving is. It's like you really, really want it. Okay, so if you're craving peace, quiet, and room to breathe, it means you really want that. So that's the answer. It's you really want it. So you should be ticking really want. It says tick 1. That's all I'm ticking. Question 3. You can expect great value. This means... You can expect great value. This means... And that's all we've got. We just have to literally say what that means. What does that mean? You can expect great value. So you need to think about that. What does great value actually mean? What does that mean? You might well notice that that is a commonly used expression for shops and things when they're trying to sell you something. So you can expect great value. So it's basically trying to say that it's going to be good value for money, really. So I wrote, the price will be low for what you can get. That's what it means, basically. That's what great value means. Or you could have put, you can get a lot for your money. That's great value, okay? So it means what you're paying for, you're getting a lot back in return, so it's worth the money. Right, question 4, retrieval. Who is this letter from? Who is this letter from? Hopefully this was quite straightforward of who the letter is from. If you look at the text right at the very top, so you can see with the address, who's the letter from? It's the person writing it, isn't it? It says Darren Champion. It also says right at the bottom of the letter, yours sincerely, Darren Champion. So there are 2 clues there, but right at the top, you look at the address, it's got the person's name. Okay, that's the person writing it, and then it's their address underneath, and then the other person's address is the one they're sending it to. So there you go, it is from Darren Champion. That's what we need to write. Just make sure, again, when you've written Darren Champion, you've used a capital D for Darren and a capital C for Champion. Why do we use a capital for those? That's right, because they are a name. It's a proper noun. It means we need a capital letter for each part of that. So capital D for Darren, capital C for Champion. You still need to be putting that in your comprehension, please. Right, question 5. When did Miss Wilkinson write her letter? When did Miss Wilkinson write her letter? So, now usually, again, I would advise you to look where the addresses are, but actually there's no dates in this letter, is there? It doesn't actually have a clear date, other than the 30th of April 2019, but if you look, that is when Darren is writing the letter, isn't it? That's when Darren Champion's writing the letter. That's not what the question's asking, is it? It's not asking when did Darren write it. The question says, when did Miss Wilkinson write her letter? So where are we going to find that? Because it doesn't say that underneath Tina Wilkinson, does it? It doesn't say that anywhere on that bit. But if you read the very first line of the letter, it says, Dear Miss Wilkinson, thank you for your letter of the 24th of April. And there you go. That's the answer, isn't it? It's the 24th of April. That is when she wrote the letter, because it says, thank you, we received your letter on the 24th of April. So that's when Miss Wilkinson wrote her letter. Is this Miss Wilkinson's letter? No. So we don't want that, do we? It's not Miss Wilkinson's letter. We know she sent it on the 24th. So that's what I'm writing down. 24th, not the 30th of April, okay? 24th of April is when she wrote hers. Right. Question 6. What does Northumberland have more than any other country in the UK? What does Northumberland have more of than any other country in the UK? So again, I am knowing that this is a retrieval question. I'm going to look for that expression somewhere in the text. Where does it say something about there being more of than any other country in the UK? If we find that, we're going to find out what it is that Northumberland has. So we look through the text and see what that is. So we see more of than any other country in the UK. I've just found it's at the bottom of that paragraph that begins with like your neck of the woods. And if we just read the full part of that sentence, it's right at the end. It says... it's a big sentence, okay. Right, so from, we have the Roman marvel, that is the world-famous Hadrian's Wall, the lonely charm of Holy Island, and more castles than any other country in the UK. So, what does Northumberland have more than any other country in the UK? Castles is the answer, isn't it? Castles. So we need to write down the word castles, that's it. Okay, that's literally the answer, is castles. Make sure you spell castles correctly. It does have a T in there. Just double check the spelling of that one as you're copying it. So there we go. Right, question 7, or an inference now. So, look at the second paragraph of the letter. What does this make you think of Birmingham? Use what the letter says to support your answer. Look at the second paragraph of the letter. What does this make you think of Birmingham? Use what the letter says to support your answer. So, I know where I'm looking. Where am I looking? The second paragraph of the letter. And what am I trying to find out? Trying to find out what it makes me think of Birmingham. So, we're going to reread that second paragraph of the letter. So, second paragraph of the letter. I suspect it will be a huge change from what you're used to. Coming from Birmingham, you will, I think, be blown away by the open spaces. Northumberland has the fewest people per square mile of any county in the country. If you crave peace and quiet and room to breathe, you will have come to the right place. So what does that make us think of Birmingham? So we need to be quite smart here, because again, this is an inference question. It's not something we can just retrieve from the text. What is this making us think? So just double check it again. Huge change from what you're used to. So they're making an assumption about what they're used to in Birmingham. So coming from Birmingham, you will, I think, be blown away by the open spaces. Now, if we're being smart here, basically everything that's in this paragraph, we are trying to say the opposite, okay? Because they're trying to compare what this is compared to Birmingham. So it says, you're going to be blown away by open spaces. So what doesn't Birmingham have? Open spaces. It doesn't have open spaces because you're going to be blown away by them when you come here. What else does it say? Northumberland has the fewest people per square mile of any county in the country. So if it has the fewest people per square mile, what does Birmingham have? It's the opposite. If Northumberland's got few people, it must have lots of people. Okay, so it's quite busy in Birmingham. Lots of people there. If you crave peace, quiet and room to breathe, you'll have come to the right place. So if it's peaceful, quiet and room to breathe here, what must it be in Birmingham? Not very peaceful, not very quiet, and no room to breathe. Okay, it's literally all the opposites. So let me read you what I worded my answer to be. I said, Birmingham must be crowded, busy and noisy. Birmingham has no peace and quiet. I put two sentences in there, okay, because I couldn't quite get it into one. But yeah, Birmingham must be crowded, busy and noisy, and it has no peace and quiet. That is literally said what I think of Birmingham based on what I'm reading in the text. Because if they're trying to say that this place has got those things and Birmingham doesn't, then Birmingham must not have those things. That's what I think of Birmingham based on what is in the text. Okay? Right. Question 8. Spectacular views for the serious walker. What does this tell you about a visit to the mountainous uplands of Northumberland? Spectacular views for the serious walker. What does this tell you about a visit to the mountainous uplands of Northumberland? So, again, this is an inference question. We need to be looking through and trying to find out what we can take away from that. So, again, if I can actually just find that in the text, so it says there on that paragraph of then there's the sea. It says right at the bottom, there it is, the spectacular views for the serious walker. So, what is that actually telling us about a visit to the mountainous uplands? So, basically, if you think, it's saying spectacular views. What does that mean? Spectacular views is telling me that there are going to be some really great things to see, okay? And for the serious walker, that means not somebody who just goes for a casual walk, just go for a walk around the block. That's someone who walks lots and lots and lots as a real hobby, okay? They do lots of walking. They do many, many hours of walking in really difficult weather conditions, okay? So what does that tell us about a visit to the mountainous uplands? It basically tells us that when we get there, if we are a serious walker, we're going to see some great things up there. So here's what I wrote, here's what I worded it. I said, if you are an experienced walker, the beautiful views from the mountainous uplands will be worth it, okay? Because they are spectacular, okay? Spectacular views for the serious walker. So if you're an experienced walker, the beautiful views from the mountainous uplands will be worth it. That's the answer, okay? Question 9. What best describes the weather in Northumberland? Tick 1. What best describes the weather in Northumberland? Tick 1. So is it cold but dry, cold and wet, warm and dry, or warm and wet? And we're only going to tick 1. So there's quite a lot of options there, isn't there? So we need to make sure we've got absolutely the most precise one of those. So we're going to find the section that talks about the weather. Where is that section that talks about the weather? Let's just have a look. So it says here... so it says it right there in that bit that says about living in the Midlands. You might think this is the frozen north. In truth, it does tend to be a little cooler, but don't confuse colder with wetter. Now that's a big clue there. Don't confuse colder with wetter. Okay, so it's trying to tell you that Northumberland is not wet. It even then goes on to say Northumberland has less rain compared with many other countries. Okay, so what can we eliminate from those options then? We've got cold but dry, cold and wet, warm and dry, warm and wet. Well, we know it's not wet. Okay, so anything to do with wet is wrong. So we're going to get rid of those two. It's not cold and wet and it's not warm and wet. Those two are definitely wrong. It's got to be one of the other ones. Is it cold but dry or warm and dry? So what else did it say in there? It said it's, you might think this is the frozen north. In truth, it can be a little cooler, but don't confuse colder with wetter. So it can be cold, okay, it can be cooler. It doesn't say anything about it being warm, does it? So the answer is cold but dry. It's the only one that fits, okay? Definitely nothing to do with it being wet and it's not warm. So it's the only one left, isn't it? It's cold but dry. Right, question 10, summarising. Using the whole text, tick one box in each row to show whether each statement is true or false. Using the whole text, tick one box in each row to show whether each statement is true or false. So we've got Darren Champion is replying to a letter from Tina Wilkinson. Is that true or false? Hopefully this is very clearly true. We know he's replying to a letter from Tina Wilkinson because it's addressed to Miss Tina Wilkinson. He also writes, Dear Miss Wilkinson, at the beginning, and he says, thank you for your letter on the 24th of April. Okay, all those things tell me he is replying to a letter from Miss Tina Wilkinson. That is definitely true. Next, Northumberland has many castles. Well, I remember answering about the castles earlier, actually, but let's just double check and make sure we've got it in the text. Where does it say about the castles? There it is, right at the middle, at the bottom end of that paragraph. The Holy Island and more castles than any other country in the UK. So does Northumberland have many castles? Yes, it does. It has many castles. Right. Last one. Northumberland is an expensive place to stay in. Northumberland is an expensive place to stay in. Well, we also read this earlier, didn't we? We read about it being good value for money. Okay, so it can said here in the second last paragraph, you can expect great value for money. You can expect great value for money. Okay, so if it's great value for money, is it going to be expensive? Not expensive, is it? It's great value for money. So that way we know that one must be false. Okay, so your answers should be true, true, false. And the last one, and number 11, predict. What sort of clothes would you pack for a holiday in Northumberland? What sort of clothes would you pack for a holiday in Northumberland? So, again, I have used the text to answer this one, to make my prediction. You always should use the text if you're going to predict, okay? Base your predictions on the text every single time. So what sort of clothes would you pack? Well, we've just established that Northumberland is quite cold, isn't it? It's a cold place to stay in. It's not wet, but it is cold. So think about what sort of clothes you're going to pack. What sort of clothes would you pack if you're going to go on a cold holiday or go somewhere that's cold? Okay, you're not going to go out in shorts and t-shirt, are you, for example? Or wear some sandals. That's not appropriate if it's very cold. You're going to wear something warm. So, here's what I wrote. I said, and it's my full answer, this is about as perfect an answer as you can get here. I said, because the text refers to the Midlands as being cold, the frozen north. I've actually used that in the text, I've put it in there. I would pack warm clothes for being outdoors, such as walking boots, jumpers, coats and thick trousers. All of those things are clothes I would pack because they are all appropriate clothes if I'm going somewhere that is cold, and they're all hopefully going to help me if I'm doing lots of walking in mountainous places. Okay, so I've said because the text refers to the Midlands as being cold, the frozen north, I would pack warm clothes for being outdoors such as walking boots, jumpers, coats and thick trousers. And there we have it. That's the end of the set A set of questions. So tune in for the next one, which will be set B. And yeah, that'll all be fine. I will see you in that video. So take care, and I'll see you then.